With New Year's resolutions, many of us will make a vow to eat healthier, and that's a good thing. But what about our beloved pets and their nutrition? Greetings, I'm naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, and here at Meow Greens, we're on a mission to provide better nutrition for all cats because truthfully, all cat food is dead food, which is why we created Meow Greens in the first place. We bring their dead food back to life with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and so much more. All with a tasty formula that your cat will love. You can improve your cat's coat, digestion, and energy, and have less vet bills. Let 2025 bring a new year and a new pet. Get a Jumpstart trial bag, normally $20. Get a 100% discount with promo code MEOW. You just cover the shipping. Bring your pet's food back to life. Get your free Jumpstart trial bag. Go to meowgreens.com. Use promo code MEOW, MEOW. So good your cat will ask for it by name.
I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubble.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome to Mike and Chat. Welcome to Traveling Cynic in Chat. Welcome to One Viewer in Chat. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. You got a belly up to the bar. We've kept your seat, and it's great to see you back. Dink is going to be our bartender tonight. He serves with the best of them, and the lava lamp is in fact lighted to my left, your right, which tells you one significant thing, and that is that the show is on, and you can listen. You can listen on shrmedia.com. You can watch on the SHR Media YouTube channel. You can watch on the SHR Media Facebook page. And occasionally it's actually worth watching. And it's certainly worth listening to. Because, I gotta tell you this, we don't water our drinks. Just like we don't water our conversation. Politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law. We talk about it all here at the saloon. Nothing is sacred. The speech is free, but the booze is not. All that we ask is that you flush the toilet, jiggle the handle, and don't forget to tip your waitress. Tonight, it is Tuesday. Oh my God. April the 10th, the year of our Lord, 2018. Hey folks, 4, count 'em 4, little winky days until D-Day. April 14th, have you done your taxes, and do you know where your parents are? I mean, most American parents don't care where their kids are, so I'm just asking you, do you happen to know where your parents are? Tonight, we have our standard special guest, Mark 1, Model 1, Dan Butcher, he of High Plains Pundit Media, a media magnet, M-A-G-N-A-T-E, not an M-A-G-N-E-T, as he well knows, because according to Sackhead Sean, he's the number 2 best guy in the business. I eschew that. Gesundheit. Sorry for doing that. I thought I had my flu under control. But in any event, here with us tonight is none other than Dan Butcher, live and direct. Let's see here. It's 8:05 on the far left coast. On the far right coast, it's 11:05. In Tejas, where Dan happens to be, it's 10:05. And in Bolivia, it's 1928 and 17... Let's see, I'll make this fucked up number. It's 1928 and .7272325 hours Bolivian time. And you wonder why that country's a little messed up. Okay, facts and evidence. Anyway, Dan, great to see you tonight. As I said when we were texting back and forth, God, I just wish we had something to talk about, don't you?
Ain't a damn thing going on, BZ. So what are we going to do tonight, man? How you doing?
Real good. The things have changed. Things always change. And
yes, they do.
The sackheads have changed, and there's going to be a new show on tomorrow night. But before I get into that, here's something interesting that I haven't seen splayed all over the media yet, and for those of you who happen to be watching, and this is why, BZ just got serious because he put on his reading glasses. Now, customarily, I don't put on my reading glasses. I'm in my 7th decade, and I still don't really put on my reading glasses except for stupid print that is that damn small. Well, you can't even see it. It's so damn small on my smartphone. And this was sent to us by Sackhead Sean. And I find this very interesting. Eurocontrol, an EU body responsible for handling air traffic over the continent, has issued a rapid alert notification to flight operators in the eastern Mediterranean, warning them to be ready for NATO rocket launches into Syria. The aircraft carrier USS Harry S. Truman performs a full-power run during sea trials in the Atlantic Ocean, the U.S. Navy deploying Truman Aircraft Carrier Strike Group to Middle East Europe, so says the Navy. Quote, due to the possible launch of airstrikes into Syria with air-to-ground and or cruise missiles within the next 72 hours and the possibility of intermittent disruption of radio navigation equipment, due consideration needs to be taken when planning flight operations in the eastern Mediterranean, Nicosia FIR area, the alert said. The alert warns pilots to be ready for specific NOTAMs, notices to airmen, concerning flight risks and obstacles that may arrive. So, isn't that interesting? We go out of our way, or so says Donald Trump, to make sure that we don't broadcast what's going on, and then the FAA and allied people broadcast this kind of information, and bada bing, bada boom, it's out in the ozone. So, it would appear, Sir Dan, we're about to rain a lot of exploding metal on Syria. Do you have any thoughts about that, sir?
I think that's a foregone conclusion at this point. I don't even think we needed to have it brought. At least in this case, unlike the Obama administration that used to send love letters to our enemies and say, "Hey, guess what? We're gonna bomb you guys. So make sure you're out of the way before we do it, so that we just make a few potholes in the roads and stuff like that, right?" Well, in this case, I think this is being put out there because obviously, number one, the Trump administration wants everybody to know that they're serious and that they are going to respond to this. But I think that was just a foregone conclusion. I think even if anything had not been announced, all of a sudden you would have woke up in the morning going, "Holy crap, man! We're responding. We're flying sorties over Syria again," and different things like that. Here's what's interesting, BZ. I don't think a lot of people.
With New Year's resolutions, many of us will make a vow to eat healthier, and that's a good thing. But what about our beloved pets and their nutrition? Greetings, I'm naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, and here at Meow Greens, we're on a mission to provide better nutrition for all cats because truthfully, all cat food is dead food, which is why we created Meow Greens in the first place. We bring their dead food back to life with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and so much more. All with a tasty formula that your cat will love. You can improve your cat's coat, digestion, and energy, and have less vet bills. Let 2025 bring a new year and a new pet. Get a Jumpstart trial bag, normally $20. Get a 100% discount with promo code MEOW. You just cover the shipping. Bring your pet's food back to life. Get your free Jumpstart trial bag. Go to meowgreens.com. Use promo code MEOW, MEOW. So good your cat will ask for it by name.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge. From worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
We'll realize, how heavily involved in Syria we really are. We've got some troops there.
Yes, we do.
You have I think it was another foregone conclusion that we were going to have to ramp things up a little bit because of the Russian and Chinese influence in Syria. Russia and Vladimir Putin, they're wanting to have a bigger influence on world affairs. Okay, and so that's why you see the Russians so heavily involved in what's going on in Syria. So that's another interesting element that a lot of people need to look at is how is Russia going to react if we escalate our involvement in Syria? Say hello, Cold War again. You already have Vladimir Putin, very proud of all the new weapon systems that the Russians do or do not actually have. There's a lot of propaganda and stuff that goes into this type of stuff. But certainly the Russians do have a lot of capability, even though they're just a mere fraction of what they were as the Soviet Union. So a lot of different dynamics at play here. One thing that we have learned, and you should not be surprised by this right now, and this is one thing that has brought the North Koreans to the bargaining table and actually having a face-to-face meeting between Trump and Little Kim. Are you kidding me? But what brought them to the bargaining table was the fact they were scared shitless by Donald Trump. They knew that, much like Ronald Reagan, he wasn't going to mess around. If he said he was going to act, he was going to act. And certainly nobody should be surprised by this, that Donald Trump and the Trump administration are going to react to this, and they are going to act. Hell, even Barack Obama reacted to the chemical attacks. Even though they were more like, little pinpoint prick attacks, just things to kind of show force. In this case, I think Donald Trump is not going to be intent unless a few things are leveled, to make some real progress and hopefully do something to bring the whole situation under control. Syria, the entire Middle East, what you've got going on. I mean, a lot of people, that's kind of something underneath the radar is the escalation between the Palestinians and Israel right now. I love the picture. Here were the Palestinians burning tires, trying to blow smoke, nasty tire smell, black smoke across the border. How did the Israelis respond? If you look at this, they had these big-ass fans that they had deployed just for these type of events, blowing the stuff back over to the Gaza Strip. It was absolutely priceless. But the Middle East is a powder keg. And hopefully, if you want to call it cowboy diplomacy, hey, so be it. I call it the proactive diplomacy in this case. Donald Trump is showing, hey, you know what? We're going to react when chemical weapons are being used. We're going to react and be proactive in preventing our allies from being attacked. We're going to be proactive in trying to save some lives in the region and protect innocent people from being from these chemical attacks and stuff like that. So, once again, I think this is a move by the Trump administration that is going to be taken very seriously by the Russians, by the Syrian government, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
You made a very interesting point when you kind of compared Trump to Reagan. The same thing, well, with some addendum, with a hell of a lot of addendums, that was said about Reagan in 1980 are the same things that are being said about Trump right now by the Democrats, by the left, et cetera, is you can't predict him. He's going to cork off any time. He's going to send us into World War III. It's going to be nuclear Armageddon. And you can't count on what this guy is going to do. He's not of right mind, etc. Isn't it funny how history plays itself over and over and over again? However, with this caveat, we know today that Russia already suspected, obviously, that something bad is going to happen in Syria. 1 year ago, almost to the day, we dropped a bunch of Tomahawk cruise missiles on the Syrian airfield that they believed was responsible for gassing more people in Syria. Only this time, I think there's going to be a lot more heavy metal involved, if you get my nudge, nudge,
a whole
wink,
lot
wink,
more
sort of thing. The other reason, the other story that I heard today that indicates that Russia is certainly taking this seriously is that they have already begun to jam American drones anywhere near Syria. And they want to make sure that they cripple us in terms of our being able to get a better strategic view of the battlefield and keep things up to date. Well, if they decide that they're going to jam drones, of course, everybody and his brother has a satellite, which... This is something very interesting. I was a big fan of the SR-71. Someday I'm going to go into and produce a show, probably on BDR 529, which is my weird-ass show, which comes out whenever the hell I feel like it, about the SR-71. We lost a major tactical plus when the SR-71 was retired in 1995, I believe it was. NASA had 2 of them, gave them repaints, and then those things don't fly anymore, and the rest of the SR-71s either got put in mothballs kept by Lockheed, or they were sent all over the United States for static displays in various museums. That fucker, though, could have been deployed now at a moment's notice from Beale, Kadena, and other places where they used to be stationed. And I miss, and the United States, I believe, misses the ability to get intelligence take, that quickly. It'd be a situation like this would be completely applicable. There are so many things to go into tonight. There are so many things, Dan, if you're watching. I don't know if you're watching, but there are so many things that I have, folks. I have a long reporter's notebook page right here, filled front and back with topics that Dan and I can talk about tonight that'll probably end up spilling over to tomorrow night, and will probably end up spilling over into Thursday night. But before I do that, you sent me an article, and this is from Amarillo, where it says, Amarillo man taken out of city.
With New Year's resolutions, many of us will make a vow to eat healthier, and that's a good thing. But what about our beloved pets and their nutrition? Greetings, I'm Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, and here at Meow Greens, we're on a mission to provide better nutrition for all cats because, truthfully, all cat food is dead food, which is why we created Meow Greens in the first place. We bring their dead food back to life with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and so much more. All with a tasty formula that your cat will love. You can improve your cat's coat, digestion, and energy, and have less vet bills. Let 2025 bring a new year and a new pet. Get a Jumpstart trial bag, normally $20. Get a 100% discount with promo code MEOW. You just cover the shipping. Bring your pet's food back to life. Get your free Jumpstart trial bag. Go to meowgreens.com. Use promo code MEOW, MEOW. So good your cat will ask for it by name.
Hey there, Ryan Reynolds here. It's a new year, and you know what that means. No, not the diet. Resolutions. A way for us all to try and do a little bit better than we did last year. And my resolution, unlike big wireless, is to not be a raging and raise the price of wireless on you every chance I get. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited. See mintmobile.com for details.
Council meeting for clapping. And when I read that, I thought, okay, how silly and stupid are things getting now? Well, Dan, how silly and stupid are things getting now?
Well, funny you should mention that I shared that. I was actually present at that city council meeting when this happened. It was wild. Basically what you had happen was we've had a lot of different controversies between different local activists and our new city council and et cetera, and first of all, I want to say this about our new city council. I think they've done a great job. I think they've done a lot of good things. And what they've done with our new baseball stadium that's being built in downtown Amarillo, a lot of the economic development that's taking place, a lot of the plans that are in place for redevelopment and revitalization of lower income neighborhoods, minority neighborhoods, and stuff like that. I think they're making great progress. But I've been very outspoken that I think there's a little bit of pettiness going on, and the pettiness is taking place between the city council and some of the folks that are regulars in the city council chambers during different meetings and what have you. And just to kind of give everybody a background on this, the previous week before this happened, we'd had a controversy about video recording, the city council meetings, and basically what happened was the mayor, Ginger Nelson, had asked everybody that was in the front row, hey, you know what, please quit videoing because it's a distraction to everybody else. There's been a long-standing rule about videoing in the chamber. There's never been a rule against videoing the meetings, but if you were going to video, you were supposed to be in the back of the room. The media is always in the back of the room so that you're not disrupting people around you during the meeting. Well, leading up to this incident, the next week, the mayor came out and said, hey, you know what, just to let everybody know, you can video the meetings. Just please do not disrupt people around you and what have you. And now, of course, people here in the state of Texas, city councils, the mayor has a lot of latitude as far as setting different rules and stuff about how meetings are addressed and different things. And here in the state of Texas, you don't even have to allow public comment during city council meetings, but here we do. We have the citizens, a forum to speak and what have you. But what led up to this was a few minutes before this incident, they had a different thing on the agenda, and the mayor had told everybody, hey, you know what? Go ahead and clap if you're happy about this. So people clapped. So moving forward, then we had some speakers that were kind of critical of the city council, and some clapping ensued, and then ended up one of the two individuals the mayor asked two individuals to leave the meeting. One of the individuals was actually escorted and then arrested and charged with disrupting a public meeting. Now, my personal opinion is, once again, the mayor has the right to set different rules. Yeah, a light clapping. And this is the thing. Generally, when you have stuff like this, you're having people escorted out. And I made the comment, I was like, this is the first time I can. Now, we've had people asked to leave that were being disruptive. This is the first time going back many, many years that I can ever remember an incident where somebody was arrested during a city council meeting here.
Wait. So, okay, stop just for a second. I didn't read the article fully. Are you telling me that somebody actually got arrested?
Yes.
In a city council meeting?
A gentleman by the name. Yes, a gentleman by the name of Kip Billups. He is a local activist. He's primarily known for being an activist for the homeless community here in our city. And he kind of has a long-running feud going with the city council. He was arrested a few weeks ago, or a couple of months ago. It's just a few weeks ago. He was arrested because he was actually camping out on the steps of City Hall, and
perfect,
being an activist for the homeless community and stuff. So coming forward, this is the same gentleman that was arrested during this event, and so you have to remember, previously the mayor had said, hey, you can clap. So Nelson said during the meeting, he says, I want to make sure we create an environment that's not intimidating for folks. If that's something you can abide by, that's fine, you can leave now. And then she went on to tell people, if you didn't abide by the rules, that you will be escorted out. She says, if we have to call you down again, I will ask an officer to escort you out of the room. The reason we don't do this is because it is a business meeting, and we're here to accomplish business. We're here to receive comment and want to do it in a way that is respectful to others. It can be intimidating if people don't agree with your comments and create noise or some sort of reaction that makes your unpopular comments something you don't want to bring up to the podium. Every voice should be heard and respected in the same manner. That's why we don't do clapping. If you wish to agree, you can simply hold your hand up. Now, let me just say this, and I want to say this, and there's different things going on and what have you, but in this particular case, I did not see anything that was being disrespectful, anything that was disrupting the meeting, disrupting the flow of the meeting, or anything like that. There were definitely no people in there obviously you have people removed that are there specifically to disrupt a meeting,
right,
so that it doesn't take place, that are screaming over other speakers, clapping over speakers, yelling at speakers, yelling at the city council members to try to keep them from speaking. That type of disrespectful protest. Those are the folks that normally get escorted out of a meeting, not folks that are clapping for a speaker. And you're talking something that was about a second to maybe 2 seconds long. So it was definitely nothing that was disrupting the flow of the meeting. So bottom line is, and this has kind of been my stance on this whole thing, is that I think there's definitely something going on between the two sides. And Mayor Nelson is actually going to be on my radio show tomorrow night. And we are going to discuss this amongst a host of other things. And and one thing I'm going to ask Mayor Nelson is, hey, your primary job as being the mayor of our city, you guys are doing a great job, but your primary job is to bridge the gap and represent the citizens and
With New Year's resolutions, many of us will make a vow to eat healthier, and that's a good thing. But what about our beloved pets and their nutrition? Greetings, I'm naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, and here at Meow Greens, we're on a mission to provide better nutrition for all cats because truthfully, all cat food is dead food, which is why we created Meow Greens in the first place. We bring their dead food back to life with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and so much more. All with a tasty formula that your cat will love. You can improve your cat's coat, digestion, and energy, and have less vet bills. Let 2025 bring a new year and a new pet. Get a Jumpstart trial bag, normally $20. Get a 100% discount with promo code MEOW. You just cover the shipping. Bring your pet's food back to life. Get your free Jumpstart trial bag. Go to meowgreens.com. Use promo code MEOW, MEOW. So good your cat will ask for it by name.
Open up that line of communication between the citizens and City Hall. And so, because, unlike a lot of other cities, our city's run by the city manager. The only power the city council really has is, of course, approving budget items, stuff like that, and approving the hiring of the city manager. Other than that, the city manager runs the city. So their primary thing is public relations and to be that voice between the city and the citizens. And so one thing I'm going to ask Ginger Nelson is, between the two parties, you are the mayor. You're the one that has to take the leadership role. So what are you going to do to bridge that gap? Obviously, to maintain order, to conduct business, but to also make sure that people have their voice heard in a respective manner. So it'll be interesting to get her comments on it. So, but this is the first time that I can ever, anywhere that I can remember, that such a minor incident, I mean, literally, just a short clapping, such a minor incident led to somebody being arrested for obstructing a public meeting. I think things got a little out of control, maybe on both sides of the issue with this.
Folks, we got about 4 more minutes to the bottom of the hour, and we've got so many things to go over. Tonight, I'd kind of like to keep it moving, so to speak, because there are so many damn topics to address, and I may end up changing a few things along the way. I was going to address Sackheads. I was going to address the new radio show. I was going to talk about a tribute. Thanks to you. Thanks to the Sackheads. I don't even have time for that tonight. There's so much stuff. One of the newest articles that just came up is that now GOP leaders in the Senate are now warning Trump not to fire Mueller, but they rejected calls for legislation to protect Mueller. So that stems from an FBI raid into the homes, plural, and offices, plural, of Trump's private attorney, Michael Cohen. And from that, the situation came down in this fashion. Mueller, during the course of the investigation, it turns out, came across information that he thought was of such significance that he referred it over to the FBI, which, for Mueller, that's rather astounding, considering he's like a remora. He sucks up anything that he possibly can, but for whatever reason, he didn't think that this was... actually, what I believe is he thought he would get more immediate action from the FBI than he would from anyone else, is what I believe. So the information that was revealed went over to the FBI, and the FBI went to a court, and because we're talking about an attorney, it was of fair significance. So the USA in New York had to sign off on the warrant, and then it went up to Rod Rosenstein, the Assistant Attorney General for the United States of America, and Rod Rosenstein signed off on this warrant, which was thusly served on two places, two homes of Michael Cohen and two offices of Michael Cohen. Now, we're going to eventually get into the ramifications of that, but the article just came out from the Chicago Tribune. Senate Republicans, and I am of real two minds about this, Senate Republicans sharply warned President Donald Trump not to fire Bobby Mueller on Tuesday, but they stopped short of embracing legislation to protect the special counsel. It says their reluctance to take more forceful action came as Democrat leaders voiced new urgency to shield Mueller a day after Trump said he had been encouraged by some to dismiss the special counsel. We got about one more minute until the break. So, Dan Butcher, first, before we take the break, I want folks to know where you can be read, and your website and social media, etc., and then we'll take a break and come right back.
You know what? If you go to hpdailynews.com, that gets you to the High Plains Talk Radio Network, where we have over 30 shows now. That'll get you to our main website, the High Plains Daily News. That'll also get you to High Plains Daily News TV, where we have a lot of great programs on there, as well as news programming 24/7. And then that'll also get you to the homepage for the High Plains Pundit Radio Show, man.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what's been going on with little Bobby Mueller and also what may be coming in the future. Trump is coming to a crossroads, in my opinion, and I can't particularly say that it's a crossroads that he's really going to want to have anything to do with. So when we come back, we're going to continue to talk to Dan Butcher of High Plains Media. There is so much to talk about tonight. Oh, yeah, and we're going to chat a little bit about a small town in Illinois that thinks that weapons confiscation, hey, that might be a good idea, huh?
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through SHRmedia.com, HighPlainsTalkRadio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the unpleasant blind guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on BlogTalkRadio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny, and we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday nights.
SHAT.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday nights, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same SAC time, same SAC channel.
Yep. SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
Hey, BZ. So the plan's working. You got rid of Sacco. Sean is now stepping away.
I never even saw him.
And I know, and insidious. You know, we talked about this for for the last 3 years, and finally coming to fruition.
You know, I'm still in the room, right?
It's almost like he's here still. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's kind of.
It's amazing. It's kind of
at you.
It's kind of eerie.
Like a poltergeist.
Like a poltergeisty thing.
Yeah, Sackheads Against Tyranny.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
I enjoyed the hell out of doing that commercial. Tomorrow night I'm going to be playing all the cuts from that. You're listening to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show live and direct from the SHR Media Network studios, 2 miles away from the Bill Mill, the veritable belly of the beast, the locus of evil on the entire left coast, and probably the entire United Snakes of America as well. We were talking to Dan Butcher, he of High Plains Media fame, and we were discussing a few things about Mueller and Trump. So let's cut to the chase. The GOP are attempting to warn Trump. And as you well know, Dan, Donald Trump responds really well to warnings and threats like that. We know that because he's very he's conciliatory and he's measured. So we know that's very true, and he takes a measured view of most everything. And so I have to ask you, with all the stuff that went on, because if you watched his press conference, I guess it was a press conference or a meeting. He had everybody around the table yesterday. That's the other thing. That was John Bolton's first day. Yesterday was John Bolton's first day, the new national security advisor. So he's sitting to the left of Donald Trump as they're talking to the press, and Donald Trump is giving off incredible vibes in terms of body language, talking about what the FBI did when they dropped some fairy dust on his personal attorney, Michael Cohen. And John Bolton picked a perfect first day where it's an explosion in this media, it's an explosion in Syria, it's an explosion with the FBI, it's an explosion with Mueller. It's like, my God, Johnny, could you have picked a better day yesterday than to drop in? Having said that, though, Dan, do you think that Donald Trump really will fire little Bobby Mueller?
No. Not a chance.
Okay.
And here's why. I think I think Trump is, if you want to say that he's holding the Trump card, I think so. If you want to say he's bluffing, so be it. I think Trump is smart enough in using his business instincts to know that I think that firing Mueller would create even more of an air of, hey, you know what, you're trying to hide something. And I think Trump has, been pretty upfront, pretty straightforward.
Okay. All right. Okay, contestant, as the Hugh Hewitt Show used to say, I've had enough of you. Go ahead and hang up on yourself. And unfortunately, I believe that Dan Butcher may have hung up on himself. But let's continue with that particular article, because the GOP were saying, essentially, to Trump, I can't necessarily quantify it as a threat, but they were saying that in this article, they're indicating that they were not going to budge from their position against taking preventive action, underscoring the downside they've long seen in being too confrontational against the leader of their party, even at moments of great uncertainty about what Trump will do next. Great uncertainty about what Trump will do next? Yes, that's exactly what Donald Trump is. Congressional Republican leaders have opted not to further agitate him. I would have to agree with Dan Butcher. With luck, he'll call back. Unless for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe he didn't pay his phone bill. But Dan, you're there. Please call back, sir. In any event, there are some steps that Donald Trump could make right now that I think would be seriously wrong. It was very clear that he was upset about two things yesterday when you watched him in his press conference. And as I indicated, John Bolton was to his left. The vice president, Mike Pence, was to his right. And the media clearly was in on that big conference, asking him all sorts of questions. There was somebody in the back that kept harping on him time after time, question after question, the same thing. Can you tell us about Stormy, whatever the hell her name is? And he's not going to answer any of that stuff right now. That's so yesterday's news. But it's, if you're on CNN, it's all of today's news, 24/7. It may as well be like three channels, the Stormy Daniels, Williams, whatever the hell her last name is, channel, CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, etc., etc. But it was very interesting to note how the president's body language spoke to me infinitely more than what he was saying. His voice was rather measured as he was talking, but I don't think I've seen anybody as closed as he was during this conference. He started out physically open, and as a cop in certain jobs, and not just as a cop, but after a while, you learn how to read people. People are open and expressive, or they're closed and tight. You look at their expressions. You look at their eyes. If you want to read about all of this stuff, micro-expressions, and how a series of micro-expressions lead you to believe and conclude certain things, read Paul Ekman, E-K-M-A-N. He's the god of that stuff. And when I was in detectives, I read all the stuff about him that I could. Trump was closed. He was absolutely closed, and though his voice did not specifically articulate how pissed off he was, his folded arms, just like this, spoke volumes about what it was that he was feeling. I cannot recall in recent time when I've seen a president of the United States display such obvious physical body language during any kind of an interview. So clearly, the president is multiply pissed off about what's happening with his attorney, Cohen. On the other hand, there are two sides to this. By the way, I just got a text from Dan Butcher who said, give me a few, I'm trying to reconnect. So Dan is going to be attempting to call back, which is great. But if you haven't yet watched that news conference from yesterday, where he does talk about Syria, and he does talk about the FBI and Michael Cohen, and he calls the FBI a disgrace. I have many thoughts about that, having worked for them and for the federal system. This is a trap, in my opinion. This is all a trap, and I'm hoping that President Trump has the ability to look further down the road and not place himself squarely into a perjury trap, a wolf trap. Mueller is purposely attempting to do that, goad him and bait him. And by doing this, by forwarding this to the FBI, it is clear to me that there are still elements of the FBI and the DOJ, to wit specifically Wray in the FBI side and Rosenstein on the DOJ side, because he had to sign off on that. And it was also Rod Rosenstein, I should care to point out, who decided that it was good form to expand the venue of the special counsel and expand the powers and the places that he could go. It's turned out time and again that it's mostly about process. Now, in this case, the FBI decided that they were going to get a warrant from a judge to make a no-knock raid on the home areas and the office areas of Michael Cohen early, very, very early in the morning, and it was precisely that, a raid, in order to acquire as many electronic instruments, etc., documents, indicia, whatever was indicated on the warrant, because now it's being revealed that they believed that they had information indicating that in the process of acquiring the $130,000 that was the alleged payoff to Stormy Daniels, bribe money, shut-up money is how it's been quantified, that in the process possibly of attempting to acquire this money from a financial institution, Cohen decided that he wasn't going to tell whomever he got the money from that that's specifically where the money was going. And again, I ask you, quite frankly, these are all, to this point, crimes of process. Where the fuck do we see even one good indicator of any causal, purposeful linkage between the original purpose, for example, of the special counsel, Robert Mueller, and all of his Democrat crony lawyers? Where is there any direct linkage between Trump, Russia, collusion, the election? All of those elements were the original purpose when Jeff Sessions, the AG, recused himself from that, and therefore the special counsel was created by Rod Rosenstein, you got it, under prompting by James Comey, you got it. We'll get to Jimmy in just a bit. All of that, as I indicate, crimes of process. I do not see anything yet with direct and specific linkage having anything to do with the original origins and the intent of the special counsel itself. What we are seeing, however, are direct linkages between the Democrats, the leftists, and the American media maggots in terms of collusion, monkey spanking, etc. Donald Trump, in my opinion, is being baited. And I think I'm not speaking out of turn when I say that Donald Trump likely features himself one of the smartest people in the room wherever he is. And I think it's evident that people know that he does, in fact, have a high intellect. I don't know that he's necessarily a member of Mensa, but he does have a high IQ. And like other persons in his in business, big business like he is, and now like a president, he's got an ego a mile wide. But what he cannot afford to do, and my opinion is, my advice to Donald John Trump, the guy with the dead orange cat on top of his head, is twofold. Number one, do not listen to Michael Cohen if he had been telling you that it's okay to sit down with Robert Mueller or any of his cronies, because they know the law much more intimately than he does. Okay, looks like we got Dan back. And Dan, hello, sir, is that you?
Let's try this, see if this phone works.
Okay, all right. It sounds like it does. We were again talking about Bob Mueller, and my advice to Donald Trump was going to be this: do not sit down with Bob Mueller or any of his cronies. And,
not at all.
And do not say anything more about the firing of Bob Mueller. It's almost impossible for Donald John Trump to take a big steaming mug of shut the fuck up. But in my opinion, that mug should be handed to him on a silver platter. And woe be to him if he decides that he believes he is, in fact, the smartest cat in the room, and decides he wants to sit down with little Bobby and his cronies, and or decides that he wants to fire Bob Mueller. And now that you're back, Dan, what do you think about either one of those two aspects?
You know what? Unless he's subpoenaed. Now, if he's subpoenaed, he's not going to have a choice. And then you're going to have, and then people ask, is there any executive privilege here? Not really. You're talking about incidents that happened long before, or supposedly happened long before Donald Trump ever became president of the United States. Now, what's coming into question, especially with the raids on the payments to the women and stuff like that, that's coming. Okay, when did those payments take place? Stormy Daniels was paid right before the presidential election in 2016, and different things like that. So that's kind of what they're looking at there. And so, but here's the bottom line, okay? Regardless, what all of a sudden, and we've talked about this before. Remember, the Mueller investigation all started with what? Russian collusion.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So now all of a sudden we're investigating payments made by Trump's lawyer to women before he ever became president. So you can see how this has gone a complete 360 from what the original investigation was. Here's my advice to Donald Trump: just shut up, don't say a word, because in every instance, the further Mueller digs, Mueller, Mueller. The further he digs into this, the further away Trump gets from this. You know, as they uncovered quote unquote Russian collusion, what did they find? Well, the two primary people that have been indicted so far, they're facing charges for money laundering, for unfair business practices, different things like that. They had nothing to do with Donald Trump, the Trump campaign, the Russians, the election, anything like that. The same thing applies here to the women, because there is nothing, absolutely nothing that, and people will say, well, you know, let's talk about Bill Clinton a minute. Well, there's two different aspects of this. Bill Clinton lied under oath. That's the big difference. That's what led to Bill Clinton being impeached in the House.
Yes.
Okay, is the fact that he lied under oath about his relationship with Monica Lewinsky. Okay, Donald Trump has not lied under oath. Donald Trump hadn't said a damn thing under oath, and so now we're raiding the offices, looking specifically the raids on Cohen's office. We're specifically looking for validation of when the payments were made, the payments to women, and what have you. Okay, what does that have to do with the original Mueller investigation?
It has
not a damn thing. What does that have to do with? What does it have to do with Trump being president now? Not a damn thing, because Trump hadn't said a thing about this. You know, he has been quiet about it. He's, a couple of little things here and there, but really nothing. The best thing Trump can do is just let Mueller continue to do what he's doing, because every time, every page that Mueller turns, every stone that he turns over, every office that he raids, every corner he looks at, all it does is distance Trump further and further and further from anything that he's possibly investigating.
There's been a very interesting discussion in chat. Mike happens to say it's called mission creep in terms of Mueller. And Whiskey Dale said, it tells me they have 0 on the Russian side of this. When you were gone, I said, yes, the things we've discovered so far are crimes of process. And that's it. They have nothing. They have 0 to do with Russia, collusion, Trump, payoffs, the election, etc. 0 to do with that. And as a matter of fact, Paul Manafort, having been found on the indictment, the FBI agents, when they got through interviewing him, the FBI agents themselves who conducted the interview said that to a great degree they believed what it was that Manafort was telling them. They didn't believe that Manafort was lying, which is another reason. Now we have to do the logical extension. Think of this as well. That's another reason that the FBI and the DOJ are stonewalling Judicial Watch as much as they possibly can. And the ACLJ, they can't afford to let the documents get out, which shows direct linkage, in my opinion, between the FBI's going to a FISA court, because if that were found to have corrupt information, or if the information in the affidavit originally petitioned, well, the first petition got refused by the FISA court, which is unusual in and of itself. They went back with the dossier information and also information from a Yahoo.com article as well, packed into the affidavit that they submitted to the FISA judge, who then signed off on that, and they went merrily on their way after Carter Page, knowing that they could go from there into the Trump organization itself. So stop, back up. Yes, Carter Page, the original focus of the investigation, we have multiple indictments on him, do we not? No.
No, not at all.
Not one. It's a fishing fucking expedition. That's all it is. Now, I understand. I understand Trump getting upset, and he's going to continue to get upset because this is not going to stop. This shit is not going to stop. It's going to continue for the rest of his term. If he's reelected in 2020, at this point, who the hell knows? I certainly don't. It will never ever stop. So this is the status quo. This is the way things are going to be. It's going to be hate and discontent, and it will never cease. It will never, ever cease.
BZ, I'll even throw this out here. I think the Mueller investigation is more damaging to the legacies of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton than it ever will be to Donald Trump. Because let's face it,
we're finding out so much stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You're finding out the self-proclaimed most transparent and scandal-free administration in the history of the United States was anything but. You have definitely found out about the inaction by the Obama administration as far as the Russians coming in. Did the Russians hack in? Well, sure they did. What was their purpose? To show, hey, guess what? We can do this. And yeah, they were wanting to, put a little bit of seed of fear in there and stuff like that. That was their ultimate goal. And we found out that the Obama administration knew about this all along. They knew it was happening, but they did nothing to stop it. Who was the one? We also know that it was the Obama administration. Donald Trump was saying, hey, you know what? The Obama administration is, they're recording us. They're following us. They're videotaping us. Guess what? It's true. We now know that was happening. And then you bring Hillary into this. Of course, Hillary Clinton is one in the same with Barack Obama. They've made their bed together. They chose to go after Trump together, and they're going down in flames together over this. And so it's Barack Obama's legacy, the legacy of that entire administration that's going to be damaged. The Democrats are they're trying to use this, especially as far as the women and stuff like that. They're trying to use that for short-term gain in trying to maybe regain the United States Senate, maybe win a state house here and there, to win a statewide race here and there, to make some gains. That's what their ultimate goal is. But here's the question. Are the Democrats willing to risk the legacy of both Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton? I think they're more than happy to throw the Clintons under the bus at this point, but I'm not too sure about the Obamas.
No, the Obamas, they're becoming what the Clintons were, complete Teflon. And we're discovering that the Barack Obama, well, I could say Barama, the Barama Lama Ling Dong was the most opaque. He will be one of the most opaque presidencies and one of the most corrupt, with one of the greatest amounts of collusion known to man, and none of that would have happened, and none of this would have been revealed had Hillary Clinton actually won the election. Now, this is an interesting question in chat, and I have to point this out. We got about another 2 minutes before the top of the hour break, and I want to ask you this question. Once I get through asking you this question, after the break, then we're going to have to change topics. We're going to go to the firearms. We're going to go to Deerfield, Illinois. But the question originally posed by Mike in chat was, should Trump fire Rosenstein? And as you were talking, I read that. And then Right Wing Aviator came in with what I think is a really insightful point about this. And I'm going to throw it out to you, and maybe you can talk about this and answer it after the break. Right Wing Aviator said, hey, fire Sessions, then let his replacement fire Rosenstein. That's kind of interesting. I kind of like that. Let me, before we go to the break, let me, Dan, ask you this one final question before we do go to the break. Did you ever trust Jeff Sessions, and or did you think Jeff Sessions as AG was a good appointment?
You know what? Here's the thing, and I'm going to address this in whole. People are making a big deal out of they're calling it the revolving door of the Trump administration. You have to remember that when Trump first came into office, he packed his administration with a lot of paybacks to the Republican Party. Now, a lot of the people were folks that he did not feel comfortable with around him. Not necessarily. These were folks, the type of folks that he would not hire to run a company, or the type of folks that he would not do a business deal with. He felt very uncomfortable with them. And so through the process, you've seen Trump put his will forward, so to speak, and start surrounding himself with people that he feels comfortable with, whether they're Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Conservatives, Liberals, what have you. These are people he feels comfortable with, that he knows he can work with. He trusts them. He trusts their trust them to be advisors. And to answer your question, I think it's more of an issue that Trump has never felt comfortable with Jeff Sessions being his attorney general, much to the same effect that he wasn't very comfortable with the initial appointment for Secretary of State and for foreign policy advisor and stuff like that. And so now you're starting to see him surround that. So I do think that it's coming sooner than later that Trump will replace Jeff Sessions with somebody that he feels comfortable with and that he trusts to do the job, which is something he probably wanted to do from the get-go, but felt pressured to do some political paybacks, which is customary. Well, guess what? Trump has said to hell with political paybacks. I need people around me that are willing to get their hands dirty, roll up their sleeves, and get to work.
In other words, cut to the chase, that shit ain't flying. And
exactly.
homie ain't playing that game. I have to go with you. And I'll tell you the reasons I'll just cut to the chase right now. Jeff Sessions, you look and you measure people. Jeff Sessions is way too mealy-mouthed and way too limp-wristed for me. If I want somebody who's an AG, I want somebody with a presence who walks into the room. Now, everybody says Jeff Sessions is a great guy. As a senator, he did a lot of good things. I don't care. I want somebody these days as an AG, and I want to see him come out of the bathroom or out of an office, and I want to see veins between his teeth, and I want to see blood running down from his dentures. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we're going to take a break. We're going to come right back, and we're going to channel over into the Second Amendment arena. Don't go away, please. Dan Butcher and myself will be right back on the BZ's, Bloviating Zeppelins, Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct, right here on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads radio show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through SHRmedia.com, HighPlainsTalkRadio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on BlogTalkRadio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the Bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny. And we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads against tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday nights.
SHAT.
Sackheads against tyranny.
Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same sack time, same sack channel.
SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
Hey, BZ. So the plan's working. You got rid of Sacco. Sean is now stepping away.
I never even saw him.
And I know, and insidious. You know, we talked about this for for the last 3 years, and finally coming to fruition.
You know, I'm still in the room, right?
It's almost like he's here still. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's kind of.
It's amazing. It's kind of
at you.
It's kind of eerie.
Like a poltergeist.
Like a poltergeisty thing.
Yeah, sackheads against tyranny.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we're into the second hour of the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct from the SHR Media Network. That happens to be me sitting in the catbird seat and waving to everybody right now. If you happen to be watching on Facebook Live, and if you happen to be watching on the SHR Media YouTube channel. Tons of stuff to talk about tonight. We are specifically speaking to Dan Butcher, he of High Plains Media fame, the owner thereof. And a lot of interesting questions in chat tonight. And before we were talking about that, I should say we were talking before the break about Jeff Sessions. And so, Dan, would you keep Jeff Sessions if you were Trump? Now, you think that he'll probably end up getting rid of Jeff, but if you were Trump, would you be inclined to keep him or just dismiss him out of hand and go for somebody else? With part B to this question, because the people in chat were asking this, and I answered them in chat. Part B is, okay, let's say Jeffy is gone, then who would be his replacement?
I've got a good one for you there.
Okay. All right. Love to hear it.
You know what? Let me tell you something. I still think Sessions is gone. Trump has been more vocal than ever about his displeasure with Sessions. And when Trump starts getting that vocal, you're gone. It's going to happen. Now, now you asked me if I'm Trump, should I replace Sessions? Yes, and it goes back to my original comment. You know, if I put myself in Donald Trump's shoes, Jeff Sessions is somebody that I was not comfortable with. I do not trust. I could not work with this guy. This is not somebody I would hire to work in one of my companies, to run one of my hotels, to do business with. So I don't feel comfortable with the guy. So I need to replace him with somebody that I do feel comfortable with. So now to part B of that question, who do I replace, Jeff Sessions with? Obviously, Trump is going to want somebody that he trusts in that position. Okay. And it's just like he brought in John Bolton, somebody that he really trusts to be a top-notch foreign policy advisor. Okay. So you're going, okay, so you start looking at the short list of people that Donald Trump would trust. Ted Cruz, not happening. A few other names are out there. I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to raise this, and if you're a betting man and you want to put some money on this in Vegas, and you want somebody that Donald Trump really trusts and was really close to the campaign, has worked with Donald Trump, and here comes the name, Rudy Giuliani. I think Giuliani comes back to come. I really do believe that Rudy Giuliani should have been the Attorney General from the get-go. That's who Trump really trusted. And I think that's who Trump wanted to be. Now, the question is, are there 50?
Exactly.
Are there 51? Are there 51 votes in the Senate to confirm him? I think there are. I think Trump can push his will, but of course that all hinges on if the Republicans hold the House. So this might be a move that he makes sooner than later to get it done. But I think Rudy Giuliani comes to the top of the list of names to eventually replace Jeff Sessions, just because this is a man that has worked closely with Trump, worked closely with the campaign, and most importantly, it's somebody that Trump trusts.
I recommended Giuliani, as did a lot of other people, and other folks were saying, Giuliani's, he's too staid. He's too kind of wishy-washy. He wouldn't be the right guy. He's a serial philanderer, that kind of thing.
Right.
Giuliani was tempered in the crucible of 9/11 and came through shining. And he came through shining because he was, in my opinion, pretty much single-handedly responsible for the resurrection of New York City before the World Trade Center towers were taken down. He was the architect of essentially stop and frisk. He was the architect of the broken window theory, and that brought New York City, and it reverberated throughout the police department. It gave them great morale. The times were wonderful. People were getting put into jail appropriately. He had his thumb on everything, and people knew you didn't screw around with Rudy. He might have a tendency to screw you back. I believe from the get-go that Rudy Giuliani should have had some kind of a cabinet position originally from the get-go in the Trump administration, along with John Bolton. Now, that having been said, some of the folks in chat were saying, okay, Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz was my guy in the presidential nomination process. Now you say no to Ted Cruz, and why is it that you believe that Ted Cruz, that's not going to happen?
Ted Cruz, right, let me tell you why that's not going to happen. Ted Cruz is in a dogfight right now to retain his seat in the U.S. Senate. Beto O'Rourke, who is a United States congressman, basically he represents the El Paso area here in the state of Texas. Beto O'Rourke is basically the Democrat equivalent to Ted Cruz in 2012 when he upset David Dewhurst, who basically David Dewhurst, as the lieutenant governor of the state of Texas at that time, was the most powerful political figure in the state of Texas. So Beto O'Rourke has a lot of money behind him. Can he upset Ted Cruz? You damn well better believe he can. And so Ted Cruz is in a dogfight to retain that seat. And at this point, the Republicans have to retain every possible Senate seat that they can right now. And Trump knows that. And so that is not a move he's going to make to possibly just basically if Cruz was to pull out of that race to become Attorney General, that would just hand that seat to the Democrats on a silver platter at this point. Heading into the November midterms, because Beto O'Rourke he's young, he's charismatic, he's very well liked by not only Democrats but also Republicans. That could be a potential upset. So Ted Cruz, the Republican Party, the president, that's one of those major seats that they're going to focus very heavily on to make sure they retain it. Plus, also think of the symbolic nature of that. If O'Rourke was to upset Ted Cruz here in the state of Texas, can you imagine the momentum? Even if that was the only race that the Democrats won, oh my God! You would think they had won the presidency back. So the Republicans want to make sure that Ted Cruz stays in that seat, and that's why you're not going to see him go anywhere but back to the U.S. Senate.
That would be an ass-handing kind of election should he happen to win over Cruz. And they would crow about that for now until infinity, so to speak. Yes. Folks, we're talking in chat about Trey Gowdy. Trey Gowdy, I think it's pretty clear, Trey Gowdy is disgusted with politics, and now I think he wants to be a judge, or he wants to go back to being an attorney general or something like that back in South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. His days in politics, I think, are pretty much numbered. Now, Trey Gowdy on SCOTUS, OMFG, would he be an excellent appointment for that? Now, I think we've kicked Mueller around a little bit. We've kicked Trump around a little bit. Let's kick Deerfield, Illinois around a little bit. That was a topic. That was a topic in chat for a while, and it should surprise no one that they're getting sued on many fronts. And for those folks who are not, you're not aware of what's going on, this little teeny village in Illinois came up with a resolution that said if you have anything that happens to be of a semi-automatic nature in a firearm, be it a long gun or a handgun, you're going to have to turn it in, or you're going to have to offer proof that it is no longer in this township, or if you don't do that within a prescribed period of time, the fines can be up to $2,000 a day for not having complied with that city township council. Besides being illegal as fuck and a complete abrogation of the Second Amendment, this is, again, more people, leftists, in the state of Illinois. You cannot convince me that the end game, and finally, thank you, I value honesty and clarity, finally, some leftists are coming out of the closet and saying, you know what, okay, let's just be honest, we really do want gun confiscation. But what Deerfield, Illinois is doing is just another step in the process of doing precisely that. At exactly the wrong time in history. I can get into that. And, of course, the ban flies in the face of state law, and it flies in the face of governmental law. There's a guy who's I think he's the president of this thing called Guns Saves Lives. He says we're going to fight this ordinance, which clearly violates our members' constitutional rights. And with the help of the NRA, I believe we can secure a victory for law-abiding gun owners in and around Deerfield. Stop. 2 questions, and I know you know the answers, Dan. The first question is, who was the biggest seller of guns during the Barack Obama administration? And second question is, what event recently was one of the biggest seller of guns, and also what event stepped off a massive membership influx into the NRA? Gosh, what would those things be, Dan Butcher?
Well, Barack Obama.
There you go. Yes.
Okay, Barack Obama is the greatest gun salesman in the history of the world. And there's, and here's the thing. And this goes further. Obviously, this is going to be an interesting case to watch. It's a direct challenge. This is a direct challenge, and I think they set it up this way, personally. It is a direct challenge to the Second Amendment of the Constitution. Well, is there any danger of the Second Amendment being repealed? Not a chance in hell. It's not going to happen, because the Second Amendment protects the First Amendment, protects every other amendment that we have, right? Our Bill of Rights. But here's another thing. And this is what the Village Board of Trustees of this wonderful town has just done. Basically, the Village Board of Trustees of Deerfield, which is in northern Illinois, has just told every criminal in the state of Illinois, and all the surrounding states, and all the surrounding, basically they've told all the criminals in Chicago, hey, I know what, if y'all are tired of shooting each other up there, robbing each other, robbing the poor citizens, come on down here. We're going to open the doors for you. We're going to roll up the red carpet. Hell, we're going to give you folks the key to the city. Come on down. Shoot us up. Blow everything up. Our citizens, guess what? They're not armed because they're scared they're going to pay $1,000, $2,000 a day fine. But hey, guess what? We know we're not going to be able to fine you guys because, well, you haven't obtained your weapons legally to begin with, so you don't give a damn about anything. So just come on down. We have 18,000 sitting ducks, deer in the headlight folks here waiting on you to rob, rape, and pillage. That is basically what the Village Board of Trustees has said with this quote unquote assault weapons ban that they've instituted in their community there. Absolute nonsense. You just put a big target on the back of every citizen, and every citizens in this suburb of Chicago, you should be teetotally pissed off because let's just watch over the coming weeks and months and see if the crime rate in the village of Deerfield does not skyrocket. I will put good money that it does.
There's chat. The chat room has been off the hook tonight, and I thank everybody that's been in chat because there have been some great damn ideas that have been running through here. One of them was, hey, let's put some weapons lockers on the outskirts of the township, and whatever city or entity exists on the outskirts of Deerfield, they could make a hell of a lot of money putting weapons lockers in there and charging them for it. Now, I think that's a hell of a great idea for that. And the other one is to make the Democrats vote on it. Make them vote on it. And the other thing that I would suggest also is this as well. For all those in the city council, the township council, whatever venue it was, you folks need to walk your walk and talk your talk and make the appropriate display. If you're in an apartment, you need to have this sign. If you're in a house, you need to have this sign. The sign on your apartment or in front of your house is, "This is a gun-free zone. There are no firearms in this apartment or in this house." Walk your walk and talk your talk. If not, do what I advised Donald Trump. Take a big cup of shut the fuck up because you're nothing but a bleeding hypocrite. Period. End of statement. Here's another article that just came in also, and I told everybody in chat this is coming too. Now, we're talking about Deerfield, Illinois. In Illinois now, there is a bill requiring 18 to 20-year-olds to hand over certain semi-automatic firearms.
Yes.
And that is going to the Illinois Senate very shortly. If you possess, quote, assault weapons, and it's gaining sponsors in the Illinois Senate, and it passed the House, their House, last month. It's HB, 1465. It was introduced to the House, and the NRA describes the weapons to be proscribed as commonly owned semi-automatic firearms, and it requires that 18 to 20-year-olds forfeit ownership of any magazines that hold more than 10 rounds of ammunition. The guns and magazines remain legal for persons 21 and up, but people under 21 would have 90 days to give up their ownership should HB 1465 pass. Here's the funny thing. I don't see anything in here about a buyback program. I don't see anything in here about compensation. Nothing about that at all. So it's abject confiscation, either removal from the premises, although it doesn't specifically say that in this article. At least Deerfield said that in their regulation. But I don't see any compensation here. They're not interested in compensation. They're simply interested in confiscation or removal, period.
Now, let's even go even further with this to show how outrageous this is. I would argue, once again, we're going to use Chicago as a prime example, because we know how well the gun restrictions and gun regulations and gun laws, et cetera, have worked in Chicago.
Correct.
Where you have several murders a day, and these are, and most of those are bad guys killing bad guys. A lot of gang warfare taking place, even more violent than what Chicago saw in the day of Prohibition with the mobs and the mob hits and stuff like that. Imagine some days the equivalent of having a St. Valentine's Day massacre occur on some days. That's the type of situations you're seeing with the gun restrictions that have passed. You've taken the guns out of the hands of law-abiding citizens who are now unable to defend themselves against the bad guys that do have guns. Because remember, bad guys do not legally obtain weapons. They more than likely steal them, okay? Or buy them through the black market, et cetera, et cetera. So I would pose this to the Illinois Senate and any Illinois lawmaker, that probably most of the 18 to 20-year-olds that are toting weapons in the city of Chicago are probably not legal gun owners. I would say the majority of them are not. I would say probably the majority of them are gang members that are handling them illegally, et cetera, et cetera.
No. Dan, you're way out of line. I can't tell
I
you.
am, aren't I?
I can't
I'm
tell
just
you
horrible,
how
aren't I? I'm
far.
terrible.
Oh, God, mister, you are so far out of line. You need to be taken in for regrooving like a bad truck tire. That's all I can. That's all I can say is,
I need
all
some,
the law-abiding citizens.
Reconditioning.
Yes, you need like the reconditioning gulag. I'm sure there's. Well, I know for a fact there's some reconditioning gulags in California. Now, whether you have any actually set up in Texas, that's to be discussed at a later date. But there aren't any criminals in Chicago.
Oh, no!
Damn, they are just people who are simply misunderstood. They're just misunderstood.
For you folks in Deerfield, get ready because they're heading your way.
Oh, hell yeah. 2 more minutes before the break.
The red carpet for them.
Yeah, 2 more minutes before the break. When we come back from the break, I'd like to change topics again because we still haven't scratched the surface of this stuff. Donald Trump has decided that it's a good thing to apply some National Guard units to our border, and I'd like to chat about that when we come back. But in terms of the Second Amendment, do you see, Dan Butcher, any other bottom line effect for Democrats, leftists, and the American media maggots other than outright confiscation? I cannot be convinced otherwise that isn't their ultimate goal. Finally, they're starting to talk about it, but there's not unanimity among them yet. But you can't convince me that isn't their bottom line.
The ultimate goal of the folks on the left, of progressives, is not gun control. It is, you got to use the correct term, it is gun confiscation. They want every gun out of the hands. And let's be very specific. When they're talking about gun confiscation, we're talking about taking the guns out of the hands of law-abiding citizens. The bad guys will still be able to obtain guns. Just ask the police in the UK. Just ask the police in France. Just ask the police in Australia, where you've seen a lot of this stuff, where normal everyday citizens, it's hard to own a weapon, etc. The UK is now talking about, hey, you know what? It might be a good idea to relax some of these regulations and put some guns back into. Hell, you're talking about in the UK where first responding officers have a baton, not a gun. The same thing in France. So think about how dangerous that situation is with your first responders to crimes, to a potential terrorist situation. Your first responders are showing up unarmed? Think about that. Think about that.
Two more topics that we're going to address. We're going to take a break, Dan Butcher, and we're going to come back with Dan for the final segment. There are going to be at least two more topics, and Dan, maybe you can put on your thinking cap for these. We're going to talk a little bit about the border and about the 3 states that are cooperating with Trump in terms of the National Guard. And then we're going to shift gears and go across the pond and talk about the topic that you just recently addressed. We're going to talk about London and Sadiq Khan. Isn't that interesting? Because things are changing in London and the UK. Folks, don't go away. We're going to be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through SHRmedia.com, HighPlainsTalkRadio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on BlogTalkRadio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny. And we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday nights. Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday nights, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same SAC time, same SAC channel.
Yeah. SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, BZ. So the plan's working. You got rid of Sacco. Sean is now stepping away.
I never even saw him.
And I know, and insidious. You know, we talked about this for for the last 3 years, and finally coming to fruition.
You know I'm still in the room, right?
It's almost like he's here still. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's kind of.
It's amazing. It's kind of
at you.
It's kind of eerie.
Kind of poltergeist.
Like a poltergeisty thing.
Yeah, sackheads against tyranny.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we're into the final segment here at the SHR Media Network studios, live and direct on the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Go to shrmedia.com. Tons of people in the chat room. There were 12 people in the chat room earlier tonight. Great. Thank you. I really appreciate everybody being in chat. Had some great topics. Have a great orator with me tonight, Dan Butcher. He's been here for the entire 2 hours, and we will close the show with Dan. We just got through talking about Deerfield, and now let's shift gears and talk about what's happening on our borders, because leftists, Democrats, and the American media maggots are encountering what I term PSH, which is pants-shitting hysteria over the fact that Donald John Trump wants to put National Guard people down on the border. And further, 3 states are complying with this: Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. Oh, my gosh. Let's see. There's one border state that's not there, though. I wonder which one that would be. Dan, do you have any idea which one that we're missing a state? What I can't read. What state would that be, do you think, sir?
Well, considering you live there, I'm sure that Moonbeam is really taking it under consideration and advisement that he's going to send some National Guard troops down to the border. Hey, but my favorite one was the governor of Oregon saying, "Hey, you know what? We're not going to send any of our National Guard troops to the border." What kind of grandstanding bullshit was that?
That was so funny. But if you were to ask me, I would say no. I know you're not going to fucking ask me, but if you were to ask me, I would say no. Because, maybe this one time I wish Oregon was a border state, because then I could tell Donald Trump, no. Jesus Christ.
Oh,
morons.
Now here's the other little thing about this. You know, the liberals are getting their underwear in a big wad because you know, Donald Trump is sending some troops down to the border. News flash, ladies and gentlemen. There's already been National Guard troops down on the border, and do you know which president sent them?
Wait.
Oh, his name was. Do you know, BC, what his name was?
There's somebody in the studio with their hand up in the air. Can I guess?
Please.
Okay, I know I'm going to be wrong, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. The individual with the initials of BHO.
You bet. Barack Hussein Obama.
No, that
yes.
can't. No.
Shock. Yes, shocker, isn't it?
That can't
oh, my
be true.
gosh.
No.
Ding, 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 ding.
That can't be true. That can't be true. This is the guy who has, he talks about strategic patience, and he talks about leading from behind. Oh, that's right. He really is a fucktard. Oh, and a hypocrite, too, as are the rest of the Democrats, because anything that they do is okay. Anything the Republicans do is bad. So, Donald John Trump, bad. And Barack Hussein Obama, good.
Yes.
For sending troops, for sending drones into Iran and Iraq and killing Muslims. Barack Hussein Obama, good. Donald John Trump, bad. Very bad. Except, now explain. Gee, I'm off topic again. What the fuck? I'm off topic again, but explain to me, Dan Butcher, how the hell this happens. Now, 1 year ago, the Democrats, when Donald John Trump decided, hey, let's throw some Tomahawk cruise missiles at these bastards in Syria and see if we get the attention of al-Bashar, the Democrats were saying, hey, that was pretty cool, dude. Tomahawks, they're pretty good, dude. And then again, this time around, the Democrats are saying we need to throw more metal stuff that fragments and explodes into Syria. How is it the Democrats are the hawks now? How the fuck did that come around?
It's all a matter of perception. You have to remember that, Democrats are so wishy-washy that they will turn on a dime to whatever they believe their main core voting base wants to hear. They have such a hatred for Donald Trump. And I wouldn't even say hatred. I think they're scared to death of Donald Trump, that they will do and say anything to try to discredit him, to make him look like evil personified. Let me tell you something. Jesus Christ himself could come back, sit next to Trump, endorse Trump. Oh, wait a minute. They would probably do like they did at the Democrat National Convention a few years ago and boo God and boo the Bible. But the point being is that no matter there is nothing that Donald Trump can do for a lot of the hardcore progressives. Now, there are a lot of Democrats that are starting to see a lot, especially a lot of Democrat business leaders that are starting to see the light and say, you know what, there's a lot of good stuff happening in the economy because of Donald J. Trump. There's even a movement in your home state of California right now where even some of the Democrats are starting to get fed up with a lot of the BS. You're talking about the train to nowhere. That's $79 billion over budget, 5 years late, literally going nowhere. All the absolutely ridiculous high taxation on this, that, everything. It's just kind of out of control. It gets to a point where, you know what, that common sense starts to kick in a little bit. Once you've been kicked in the head a few times by the big bully, and let's face it, that's what the progressives in California are. They're bullies kicking the taxpayers, kicking the citizens in the hand, kicking sand in their face. Once that happens over and over again,
finally a few start to say, you know what, this is BS. Enough is enough. And it only takes a few to start a movement to actually make change. And so that's where I start saying a lot of this nonsense with the gun, with taking guns out of the hands of law-abiding citizens. When that crime rate starts running up, when the murders start going up, when the rapes start going up, when the home invasions start going up, people start to take notice and go, hey, something's wrong here. What was the cause of it? Oh, yeah, it was the idiotic nonsense of our elected officials. And it comes back also the same thing with border control. Now, people are saying, hey, illegal crossings are lower than they have been in years and years and years. You know what? That is an absolute fact. But here is the real reason that these troops are going down. They're not going down to stymie illegal crossings. They would actually make just a small dent in that. The troops are going down because something has to be done against human trafficking and the drug traffickers.
Yep, exactly.
The drug cartels are out of control along the border.
I have to make an observation. You brought up the California train to nowhere. 2.5-3 weeks ago, I went down to Fresno to go chat with Alan Thomas, who's a Sasquatch hunter, and I had lunch with him. In the process of going down Highway 99, people in California, this is what your billions, your close to $75 billion has purchased so far. As I went down Highway 99, I looked to my left to the east, and there's about 1,000 feet, I'm not kidding, 1,000 feet of elevated track with concrete pillars poured. And that's it. Period. Elevated track, and I drove right by it. Okay, there's your train to nowhere, because it literally is going absolutely to nowhere.
Nowhere.
Right now. Now, the chat room has been a fucking fire tonight. There's been some great stuff in there. One of the things I think it's above the scroll right now, and I'm trying to find it, but I can't. Here we go. Right-wing aviator said, build the bloody wall. Once it's up, it can be turned off or moved. And that was my point precisely for the wall. And that's why the opposition is so strident and fervent on behalf of the Democrats, leftists, and the American media maggots. It's like entitlements. Once you put up a wall, you can't take it down. That's one of the biggest reasons. So I have to tell you, and Dan, I'm sure you're like me in this, I don't care that immigration is down. That means we're having a modicum of success. That is no reason whatsoever to stop building the wall, because immigration is going to go up, if for no other reason than this. You have to do what I call the logical extension. We have that caravan, which people were saying, it got diverted and Mexico took some of those people. Well, no, it hasn't stopped. It's still coming up here. Now they know with the National Guard on the borders, they're not going to be going through Texas, they're not going to be going through New Mexico, and they're not going to be going through Arizona. They're going to be coming up through Southern California. You can be guaranteed of that. The wall needs to be up. It's a physical edifice. Walls work. Period. End of statement. And also Whiskey Dale said he found out the facts. May 2010, Barack, just like you asked me, Dan, Barack Hussein Obama sent 1,200 National Guard troops to the border. Big bad John McCain wanted more, but he didn't get it. The massive, rampant hypocrisy of the Democrats and the Republicans is absolutely stellar, and it's legion. 10 more minutes to go before the end of the show. We're going to change gears again. We're going to go across the pond over to this little country, this little teeny island. And in this island, some crazy, crazy things are going on. For example, like this, we discovered last week, London's murder rate now tops that of New York City. There was a shooting death about 2 weeks ago on Tuesday of a 17-year-old girl, a shooting death. Well, you're not supposed to have shooting deaths in London. London tallied 15 murders in February, 22 in March, slightly more than New York City for the same 2 months, which logged 14 murders in February and 21 in March. And it's a much bigger city. Plus, wait, there's more. In Sadiq Khan's London, his lovely London, Sadiq Khan, the Muzzy himself, the lead surgeon at a hospital says that his hospital has been turned into an Afghan war zone because 2 more people were killed overnight and the blood doesn't stop flowing. The surgeon said that it's been quantified to be it's like a war zone from that surging, violent crime wave. There have been stabbings and shootings. Not just stabbings, but shootings as well. So when you have something like that... Oh, and here's another story. There was a guy who was in his 20s, and he was taken to a hospital. His condition is unknown. He was attacked by a stabbing, a guy who was going stabby-stabberton on this guy in plain daylight. So, now, Dan Butcher. We got about 8 more minutes left. Now, putting on your thinking cap just for a second, Dan, and if you're Sadiq Khan in London, you're the mayor of London, and you have to, it's on you, the onus is on you to try to come up with some kind of a good, logical, clear, commonsensical solution for this problem. Now, what would you do, Dan Butcher, if you were Sadiq Khan in London?
Well, I would immediately resign. But I mean, he's number one. He's not going to win re-election. That's a foregone conclusion right here. I think, in all honesty, I think it's completely out of his hands at this point. I don't think there's a damn thing he can do. I think this is an issue that the British Parliament is going to have to address. And as a matter of fact, Theresa May, the British Prime Minister, may be forced to U-turn on stop and search and extend more powers to the law enforcement to deal with a lot of things. And so you're talking about, not only is this been, the primary crime wave, of course, has been knife crimes, knife attacks. But you mentioned that there's been some weapons used, some guns, but also acid attacks are on the rise.
Yes,
so
correct.
And let me tell you, more than 50 people have been killed. You talk about 6 stabbings took place in just 90 minutes across London in one time. So now they're looking at, okay, so what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? Are we going to extend? Are we going to do this, and this, and this? Are we going to plan? Are we going to and here's what's funny. A lot of the stuff, let me tell you some of the stuff they're actually looking at. This is how asinine it is. Now,
I know.
We're looking at, we're going to classify acid as an offensive weapon. More stop and search powers. I don't have a problem with that. I think the stop and frisk program in New York City, you had some questions on different rights and stuff like that, but it was a very effective program if they had probable cause. You're talking about flick knife rules update, a clamp on online knife sales, blades banned in the 6th form. Okay, so they're addressing more knife laws. Okay, so what's going to happen? Okay, so the next thing you're going to have is, guess what? We're going to be calling for what? Confiscation of knives. So what's going to happen? Okay, well, Okay, the knife attacks are probably going to continue because, once again, it's not good guys with knives that are carrying out these attacks. It's bad guys with knives. You ban acid. Acid attacks will continue. It's bad guys. But you will just see other forms of crime. I guarantee you would see an increase in people getting mowed down on sidewalks again with cars and trucks, motorcycles, whatever somebody could get their hands on. And guess what? I guarantee you that what they need to be addressing is this type of stuff, because once again, you have taken the rights out of law-abiding citizens to defend themselves. And once you do that, the bad guys start running amok. And it starts with increase in knives attacks. You'll see them progress to acid attacks. Guess what? The massive bombings are just around the corner for the UK. And that's why, coming back to my original comment a few minutes ago, why you're starting to see a movement on the local level in London and some of the other cities in the UK, as well as in the UK Parliament, to say, you know what, it might be time to relax a few laws so that the citizens can defend themselves again, because as far as law enforcement, as far as our military, our hands are kind of strapped with this. And they have hand-tied the hands of their own police force by not allowing them to carry guns.
Yes, they have.
But they can't even carry knives.
Yes, they have. This is so funny. Dan, you're gonna laugh when you hear this. This tough policy that Sadiq Khan is saying is that it's a police crackdown, and here's part of here's part of it, and this is going to be so fucking effective. There's going to be a ban on home delivery of knives and acid. So folks, I know you folks who were getting your truckloads of knives and your truckloads of acid, I'm telling you, Sadiq Khan has got his eyeball on you, baby. So you better have your knives delivered to another damn address pretty soon, because Sadiq Khan is in town. He's the new sheriff, and he's gonna clean this place up. So there you go, Dan. You're in a high fashionable restaurant in London, and it's very quiet. You're wearing a tuxedo with your finest wife, and she's got a beautiful black dress on. And you're on the 35th floor, and you've just ordered a wonderful steak, and the piano player is in the background, and he's playing some soft lounge music, and you're glancing into your wife's eyes, and you both have ordered a steak, and it's rather pricey, but you don't care because you can afford it, and in comes this hot, sizzling steak, and it's a piece of... It's a wonderful ribeye that you've ordered, and the waiter brings it in and sets it down in front of you, and the cutlery that's there is gold. It's plated gold, and over on your left you have a gold-plated fork, and over on your right you pick up your gold-plated spoon and begin to cut into your steak because your knife has been proscribed by the City of London. So the question to you then, Dan, to answer now is, do you hold the steak with your fork and cut it with your spoon, or do you hold the steak with your spoon and cut it with your fork? Which one do you think would be more efficient in today's London under Sadiq Khan? Just throwing it out there, just a question for you.
Oh, my God.
And with that, I'm going to have to wrap up the show.
Oh my gosh.
So, you got to think of these things. It's called
yes,
doing the logical extension. Folks, thank you ever so kindly to Dan Butcher. Thanks for being on the show, Dan. And again, tell folks where they can read you. And by the way, I should tell people that if you go, just because you're from Texas doesn't mean that you don't cover everything. You cover the world. You cover the rest of the United States. You cover sports. You've got videos on there. It's not just about Texas. If you want to find out everything that's going on in the world, Dan, to your site, where do they go?
All right, you go to the hpdailynews.com. The High Plains Daily News is the largest regional news outlet here in the state of Texas. We're very proud of that, and you can just going to visit our main website. You can that'll bring you to the High Plains Talk Radio Network, where we have over 30 shows there. On our main website, we cover not only our regional news, which of course that is, we're a regional website, but we also cover state, national, and international news. We also have High Plains Daily News TV, where we have talk shows. We have news programming 24/7, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, it is the home site for my own radio show, which is High Plains Pundit Radio.
Dan, God bless you. Thank you ever so kindly for being on tonight. I have to tell everybody, when you're on, I have just a hell of a good time. And the 2 hours, done, gone, like we just sat down and started talking. Folks, we've been speaking to Dan Butcher of High Plains Pundit, and I've really enjoyed the conversation. The show is over, so thanks to Dan Butcher. Greatly appreciate it. However, there's going to be a new show on tomorrow night. Thanks again, Dan. And that is called this, for the first ever time, a new show on. It's the replacement for the Sackheads radio show, and it's called Sackheads Against Tyranny. Sackhead Sean will not be there. It will be Sackheads Clint and myself. It's an entire new show. We've got some new things to play for you. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's basically Sackheads Clint and myself riffing back and forth, similar to the Sackheads, just a little bit different take on things. And then, of course, BZ, I'll be back next Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel, right here on the SHR Media Network.
Monsieur has been locked!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct on the SHR Media Network, shrmedia.com. Thanks to Dan Butcher of High Plains Media for being here for the full 2 hours tonight. 2. Count them, 2. If you want to contact me, you can find me on Twitter at bzep, on my blog at bloviatingzeppelin.net. You can send me hate mail, bz at shrmedia.com. My original music, my intro music, is by Possessed Tranquility. It's custom, just by them. Promotional consideration by Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, by the Boeing Company. If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. And, of course, by Pratt & Whitney, fine engines, thrust, you can trust. Thanks again to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I will be consorting in less than 1 hour. Thanks to Dan Butcher again. Thanks to you for listening live, for taking place in chat. Great chat room tonight. Everybody come back. God bless. Take care. Be safe. Sackheads Against Tyranny tomorrow night.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Jim Bob. Go to sleep.
Good night, and good luck.